Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real pleasure to be with you on this online roundtable. At Casa Mediterráneo, we usually host our own conferences and activities in Alicante, but on this occasion, we wanted to be present at MONDIACULT, even if virtually, because the topic of underwater cultural heritage is simply too important to miss. Let me start with a brief introduction. Casa Mediterráneo is a public cultural institution based in Alicante, Spain, under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Our mission is simple but ambitious: to build bridges of dialogue and cooperation across the Mediterranean region for culture, science, education, and innovation. And of course, when we talk about the Mediterranean, we must think of its past. For thousands of years, the sea has been connected, a meeting place where Phoenicians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and many other peoples traded, migrated, and exchanged ideas. The sea today is literally full of history. It is like a submerged library that tells us who we are and how our cultures became so interconnected. That is why underwater cultural heritage matters so deeply. It is not only about ancient swigrigs or archaeological treasures, it is about memory, identity, and continuity. Preserving this heritage gives value to our common past while also creating opportunities for the future in education, in sustainable tourism, and in cultural diplomacy. At Casa Mediterráneo, we have been working with universities, researchers, and international partners to raise awareness of these issues. Skerki is a good example of that. And we see clearly how the conversation links directly with today's global challenges. Climate change and rising sea levels, for instance, are not only environmental threats, they are also endangered cultural heritage living beneath the sea. Likewise, when we discuss the blue economy or sustainable marine development, culture and heritage must be part of this equation. But there is also a positive side, and the water cultural heritage can be a powerful tool for cooperation. Imagine, for example, projects that bring together archaeologists from Spain, Tunisia, Greece, and Egypt, or educational programs that allow people across the Mediterranean to discover how their histories are deeply connected. These are opportunities to build a stronger sense of community around the sea that unites us all. That is why MundiaCult is such a valuable platform. It reminds us that culture is not a luxury, it is a global public good. Protecting underwater heritage is part of that responsibility, and no country can succeed alone. We need cooperation, we need shared knowledge and technology, and above all, we need to involve society to show people that this hidden heritage belongs to all of us. Let me finish with one image. The Mediterranean is often called a sea between lands, but I like to think of it also as a sea between times. Beneath its waters lies the past, waiting for us to protect it, to learn from it, and to pass it on to future generations, of course. At Casa Mediterráneo, we are strong committed to this vision, and we look forward to working together with all of you to make it a reality. Thank you very much for connecting in this activity. And now I give the floor to Paqui Santonja, Senior Advisor in Casa Mediterráneo, who will introduce our guests and speakers and also moderate the conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here, sharing this experience.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. Thanks to Director General Andrés Perello for his first welcoming speech. Today, the moderator was expected to be Jordi Tresserras, which is a very well-known expert on cultural heritage, but he's sick and he's not been able to join us today, so it will be for another occasion. But I'd like to welcome and to say hello to everybody, and especially to our experts today. We have Rocío Castillo from the museum, the Underwater Archaeological Museum in Cartagena, in Spain. We have Mladen Pesic from the Underwater Heritage Institute in Zadar, Croatia, and we have Ángel Fitor, a very well-known photographer who now lives in also from Alicante and here in Spain. The idea of today is to have a dialogue or conversation around the main challenges, the potentialities, and also the future of the underwater heritage. And in doing so, I would like first to give the floor to our experts to introduce themselves and to explain their experiences and also what they are doing from their own projects and from their own institutions. So, shall we start first with Rocío Castillo, please? Yes, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks to Casa del Mediterráneo to invite us to participate in this MONDIACULT event. Our co-director, Rafael Sabio, is now in Mexico, and he delegated me for this event. National Museo on Underwater Archaeology depends on the Spanish Ministry of Culture. Now I'm going to present myself. I am an underwater archaeologist. I was graduated in Madrid University. My specialty is prehistory and archaeology. And I make the master degree in Mediterranean nautical archaeology in Barcelona. And also, I am a professional diver. I make my scholarship in underwater archaeology and professional diving in Cartagena in the former National Museum of Maritime Archaeology and the Center of Underwater Archaeological Research in 1988 and 1990. In this course, I learned to dive, and I make different trainer courses in survey, excavation, documentation, and conservation. Later, I followed my training on underwater archaeology in different points, areas of Spain, mainly Alicante, Ibiza, or Cádiz. We were in archaeological map using diver and geophysical survey, making trench or excavation. I started my professional career freelance in 1997. I did a lot of work in environmental and archaeological impact studies, making archaeological control in drilling, harbor walls, emissaries, gas pipeline, brights, and so on. In this work, we make the same survey with diver or geophysical means, trench, or excavation. In this period, I work as well I collaborate with some institutions, the Centro of Underwater Archaeology of Andalucía in Cádiz, the Arqueológico Museo of Alicante, MARC, or the Villa Museum in Villajoyosa. I would like to highlight the European project, Ancient Maritime Route of the Mediterranean, ANSER, where we were there in 2003 and 2004, and was focusing in the Mediterranean, in the West Mediterranean, and we work with 7 different countries and 15 partners, making conference, international training course on underwater cultural heritage. In 2006, I came back to Cartagena. I started to work in the National Museo of Underwater Archaeology, ARQUA, first as freelance and at the end in a permanent position. I participate in the museographic project at Arqua, in the new exhibition, and also I collaborate in the Arquater project, our conservation lab, with area of nautical and diver means and storage. In the museum, we organize different congresses in national and international level, make publication, and a lot of activities of awareness. I work in the archaeological department. We always make the archaeological map, mainly in the Murcia region where we are. And also some excavation. I would like to highlight the excavation of Mazarrón 2 shipwreck and Bajo de la Campana wreck. They both are Phoenician from the 7th and 6th century, and some Roman wreck as Punta de Algas from the 1st century before Christ. We also work in other areas, at inland water, at reservoirs like Buendía and Valdecañas. I would like to highlight the collaboration with the sport divers in Buendía project and with another institution at the university, the Complutense University and the Navy Hydrographic Institute in Valdecañas project. Without them, we can make this project. Also, we work in deep archaeology. I would like to highlight 2 projects. Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes frigate, where we work after the plunder of the Odyssey company. And Skerky project, where I meet Ángel Fitor at Mladen, and we work under the umbrella of UNESCO. Later we will speak about this project. And in Arqua Museum, we collaborate with a lot of activities of UNESCO, exhibition, meeting, course, mission in different places, Cartagena, Campeche, Mexico, or Santo Domingo. And that's all. Thank you. Bye.
Many thanks, Rocío, for this first introduction of the huge amount of work that you do within the museum, and also for your big experience in that topic. Let's pass now to Mladen Pesic. Sorry and apologize for my pronunciation and my little cough. Mladen, you're also a diver. I think it's quite common for the 3 of you, I think. Can you explain us your experience and also what you do in the Institute?
Yes. Thank you very much, and thank you for invitation. Thank you, Casa Mediterráneo, that invited all of us here to meet today. I come from the International Center for Underwater Archaeology in Zadar, which is the institute that is formed in 2007 under Ministry of Culture of Croatia. And from 2009, our institute got the 2nd category label from UNESCO. This is, let's say, label which gives us some kind of prestige because we are unique in the world. And this is the designation that each 6 or 8 years has to be reviewed. And this is what pushes us, let's say, to make some of our activities that we do regarding the UNESCO goals. One of the main things that we do in Centro in Zadar is education for the young students in archaeology, but also in conservation. So until now, we had more than 350 students from 60 different countries that passed different courses within our center. These are basic courses for underwater archaeology, advanced courses for underwater archaeology, also conservation and restoration courses, which can last from 2 weeks up to 1 month, depending on which area people would like to learn. We cooperate closely with UNESCO, so some of the projects are also financed by UNESCO, although most of our budget comes from the Ministry of Culture of Croatia. We can maybe mention some of the courses in last years that we did together with UNESCO. It's the courses for the Southeast Asian and Caspian region countries. We do also lots of other activities like research of the underwater cultural heritage sites, surveying of them, making maps on the Croatian level about the cultural heritage sites. We can later maybe mention some of them. And the other activities is also related to the organization of different conferences with the subject for underwater archaeology. So I have to say that in Zadar we organized the ICUA conference and ISBSA conference and SOMA conference that was the last year in Zadar. This year Cartagena and Rocío will host the conference, so we are looking forward to this also special conference, which is not only related to underwater cultural heritage but Mediterranean cultural heritage in general. We do lots of fieldworks, as we said. Some of them are for us important. These are mostly long-term projects dealing with Roman shipwrecks, mostly Roman archaeology, but also with medieval and post-medieval sailing that we research. This is something that my institution does in general, let's say. For myself, I studied here in Zadar. I have a PhD in underwater archaeology, dealing with underwater cultural heritage finds from North Africa in Roman times in Adriatic. So this is my close subject, let's say. I worked in a center from the beginnings, from 2007, when I worked as in the department for education and presentation. But since 2019, I'm director of the center and working still in underwater archaeology, but a little bit more in administration stuff. So basically, these are general stuff of our center and about me, and we can tell a little bit later more if you want about some of the projects. Thank you.
Last but not least, Ángel, I think you're not an archaeologist, but you're very much related to the sea and to also an environmental dimension that is also very interesting and very important for underwater heritage.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Paqui. Thanks very much, Casa Mediterráneo, for having me to this nice event. And of course, I'm really glad to see you again, Mladen and Rocío. We share our Skerki Bank mission on board, and it was amazing. Well, as Paqui said, I'm not an archaeologist, but I've been specialized for the last 3 decades on photography, and especially on storytelling, and also on science communication. So I think I'm working. My work is kind of link between science, pure science, and the general audience. I think it's an essential part of the scientific process. And of course, I've been a diver as well. So my experience has been focusing on the underwater, mostly the environmental heritage and the conservation, nature conservation activities. And from that point of view, I've been working for most of the most relevant companies worldwide, including National Geographic and Smithsonian Institution. I'm working right now for the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution and Geo Magazine, Disney and Netflix companies. So I'm essentially a freelance person working at the service of science. And surprisingly, in 2022, I was commissioned by this Casa Mediterráneo, to join the first international mission on the Skerki Banks as an onboard photographer, which was an absolute honor. And that was actually my first experience in the field of archaeology itself. Previous than that, all I can say is that I have seen a lot of pottery on the seabed during my life. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. In Casa Mediterráneo, we are very proud to have Ángel also on board. Not only on this occasion, we already had two very nice expositions of his photographies here in the Mediterranean, but especially in the Spanish coast of the Mediterranean 1, and then the second part was that ended early this year, who reveals and explains very well the main challenges and of the preservation of the Mediterranean and all the contamination that can also put in danger this underwater heritage. So we are passing now to the second part of the discussions. We would like to know a bit more about the work that you develop especially in your institute and museum. Rocío, as you mentioned, this is a national museum. Rocío has just disappeared right now.
Hello, I am here. I'm
Okay.
waiting.
We wanted to know, and we are looking forward you to share with us your experience as the National Museum of Underwater Heritage in Spain, your experiences, international collaboration, and the way you create networks to support this conservation.
Hello again. Now I'm going to speak about our institution and the networks that we create and we follow on. First of all, I would like to introduce our institution. Now, from 2008, our name is National Museum of Underwater Archaeology. Our surname is ARQUA. But our institution was created in 1980 as a National Museum and National Center of Underwater Archaeological Research. As I say, in 2008, we changed to a new building. Now we are in the harbor of Cartagena, near the city center. This is the Arca building, and this one is Arquatec. As Underwater Cultural Heritage Institution in Spain, sorry about my bad English, we had very good relationship with the other research center on underwater archaeology, the regional one in Catalonia, it's in Girona from 1992. Another one in Comunidad Valenciana in Valencian region, and the first one in Andalusia that is based in Cádiz. And also we are a national research center, but we are the only one. We have a museum. We are a national museum as well, and we have a very good relationship with a lot of the museum in Spain. We are the only one with specialization in underwater cultural heritage. But there are a lot of museums, archaeological museums, with underwater cultural heritage in their collection. And I would like to highlight the Vila Museum in Villajoyosa, the Marc in Alicante, or the Maritime Museum in Barcelona, or the Naval one in Madrid, Ferrol, and Cádiz. And the other ones are regional, municipal, and ethnographic museum about the ship. This is in the national level. In the international level, we make network from our beginning, even from 1970. Our first director, Julio Mas, participated in the 4th International Congress on Underwater Archaeology in Niza, and also in 1982 he organized the 6th International Congress on Underwater Archaeology in Cartagena, when he inaugurated our former museum. Later, Ivan Neruela, with the Ministry of Culture, he made this project, Euro-Mediterranean Forum of Maritime Archaeology, FEMAN, and the Network of Institute of Underwater Archaeology, RIAS, with institutions from all Europe, from the north to the south, east to the west, and all Mediterranean, from the west to the east. The next one project was Arqueomed, about European maritime cultural heritage. And we participate in Congress, publication, database. And I would like to highlight this campaign, SOS, awareness campaign, to try to sensibilize to the general public, especially diver and fishermen, and what to do if they find underwater archaeological remains. Don't touch, make only photos, leave only baubles. Another time with Xavier Nieto was in 2011. We make this international course of underwater archaeology with UNESCO in Spain during 6 weeks with theoretical and practical training. And the teaching staff were from Spain, France, and Italy, but our students were more our participants, because they had a very long background, were from Latin America, Spain, and Africa. And the next project I would like to highlight was BlueMed. We participate as associated partner in this Mediterranean project about responsible tourism and on underwater natural and cultural heritage. And finally, in 2022, we participate in the Skerki and Sicilian Channel Transnational project under the umbrella of UNESCO, but this project started before, in 2019, and arrived until nowadays. And as Mladen said, now we are working in the preparation of SOMA 2025, the 26th Symposium on Mediterranean Archaeology, that will be in this year at the end of November 2025. And I would like to highlight that in our scientific committee, there are people, colleagues that we meet in other underwater projects, as Arqueomed, Timmy Gambin that we meet in Answer and Arqueomed, or Mladen and Franca Civichini that we meet in Skerki. All these European projects and international congress make a very good network and help us to following our work, protection and dissemination of the underwater cultural heritage. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocío, for this very interesting and in-depth explanation of your different projects and this Congress by the end of November. That sounds really interesting. Ángel, your role in this session is slightly different, but because of your profile, but I think it's also very important because of the role of photography in this dimension, in this role to preserve and to disseminate this cultural heritage. Can you talk us a bit more about how can photography can raise public awareness and support scientific documentation in all this process within the museums and also to raise the awareness of public?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, we need to add some context to what photography and visual storytelling means in general. Um, well, we humans build our consciousness and our thinking, our knowledge on the basis of visuals. Most of our brain is actually devoted to our visual system. So, photography and visual storytelling in general plays an absolutely determinant role in the processing of information, the processing of the message we want to forward to an audience. Um, well, actually, we are now seeing the relevance of journalism and visual storytelling, and the proof, there is no better proof of the power of photography than the oppression and persecution that journalism is suffering across the globe in so many places. That's actually the proof of how determinant the transmission of information is an essential part of mankind in general. Um, the only way we have to fight misinformation is actually information. That's why the relevance of journalism and visual storytelling, it's so much determinant to science. Going straight into science, my well, it's my desire. It's that we should try to we should try to understand that um, one of the reasons why science it's been detached. I'm talking about science in general. That includes archaeology and, of course, all the sciences we know. Actually, one of the reasons why science has been detached from the society, and now we are seeing the consequences with climate change deniers and so on, is that the lack of a proper science communication. Uh, Science normally works in a very closed circles. It works in let's say private circles. Science is essentially made for scientists, but it should be made for the general audience. So I think we have a lot of work to do on that field. One of the things that I think it's more relevant is creating content that not only takes the information, brings the information to the audience, but also touch the emotional part of the audience. That's how the message really impacts on the audience. And of course it affects to politics as well. I mean, to policy making, how the message we forward that message. Um, well, from a conservation point of view, going straight to your question, conservation of cultural heritage, conservation of natural heritage. From a conservation point of view, I think there's a huge task to be done. Uh, Mainly for two reasons. One of them is the reputation of science itself. Um, Sadly, it's been discredited nowadays, and we need to make a lot of teaching efforts to make people on the streets understand what's the role of science and what are the benefits of science for society. And there is also a second really important thing, that one important reason why we need to improve our communication efforts, and that's accountability. Because we don't need to forget that we are all taxpayers, and we need to understand where our taxes are being employed. So at the center of that, visual storytelling plays a determinant role, because visual storytelling, journalism, photography, is our most powerful tool we have in our hands to translate and to modulate the message the way we want that message can be forward to the audience. That's essentially my general perception, and after so many years of working in the industry of science communication and visual storytelling, that's essentially my perception and my view.
Skipped you before from the previous order, but it doesn't really matter. Apologize for that. But we would like now to focus with you on the work that you're doing in the institute, the work that you're doing on the musealization of heritage. The institute is very well known worldwide, and especially in the Mediterranean, for the work that you've been doing. Also, beyond the traditional exhibitions, what kind of innovations you've introduced also to raise awareness with the public audience, and also to make it more accessible to everybody?
Never mind, you skipped me. We are not in the line, so everything is fine. Yes, I already mentioned before the things that we are doing regarding the courses and the other things that we are focusing, but we spend a lot of time also to raising awareness between people in different ways that we try. Maybe I can mention 3 different areas that we are working in. One of them is education for the children and for the older people and for the general people in different workshops that we organize within our center. There are workshops related to the mostly about the pottery making, ancient pottery making, ship construction, and parts of the ship, and trying to explain people what our underwater archaeologists find underwater and how do we start to recreate the things that we found. This is something that we do usually in winter times, let's say, in our center, because this is the period when most of the people can join us. We are not museum, but we are trying to also to teach people in a way that in presentation way what we are doing. So I have to say that we are proud that during second half of the last year we opened a new part of our center. It was rebuilt for 4 years. It was funded by the European funds. Maybe I can share some photos with you and to show you maybe some of the pictures, if it is going to be possible, maybe. Just to check. Do you see it now? Just a moment. Can you see the picture? Sorry. I can't hear you, so. Do you see the picture? Sorry, when I open them. Can you? No. I can't hear you. Sorry, one moment. It seems. Do you hear me now? Okay, I'm not sure for the pictures, but I have to say that we opened new presentation center. It was founded by European Union by the 5 million euros, and the idea in the center is that we have old church that is renewed, and inside of the church there's possibility to have different exhibitions, but we have also permanent education and presentation part where we tried to explain to the people not only by the small artifacts, but with the different screens, touch screens that they can see and experience the stories for underwater archaeology, but also with the VR glasses that we put some of our research, and people can put the glasses and they can have a 360 view of the one day of archaeologists in underwater. This is really important to them, because many people that come to our education presentation center, they are not divers, and it's not always easy to explain them what is their environment of underwater archaeologists, what are we doing. So with this modern technologies, let's say, it's quite approachable to them, and they show lots of interest for this part. We are also working a lot on promotion of underwater cultural heritage in situ. We do this together with Ministry of Culture. In Croatia, we have, let's say, special model of presentation of underwater cultural heritage in situ, because some of the sites that Ministry of Culture decided to be open to the public are within the system of, let's say, system of concession. They are given to the diving clubs, that diving centers, that take the tourists to these different sites, and they have a license from the Ministry of Culture. Of course, they have obligation for these sites. They have to protect them, they have to maintain them, and then they cannot allow any touching of the sites, any or access that can disturb the site. But for the tourists in Croatia, it is possible to go underwater and to see the general archaeological sites. These sites are, some of them are from Roman times, some of them are from modern times. And we have to say that we are also proud that UNESCO recognized this best practice model, and from 2023 Croatia has the designation of best practice for this model of presentation. I know that Spain has many more of them, many more best practices, but we have to say that we are proud of the one that we have. So this is general the story about our trial, let's say, to promote the cultural heritage between the public and between the tourists that we have lots of them in our country.
Yes, thank you very much. And yes, I think it's a very good practice indeed. And the idea also of this session was also to create the appetite to go further and try to visit all these museums. You're in the institute in Zadar and the one in Cartagena, those who are here present. But I think both experiences are very important and with very interesting initiatives. I would like to dedicate some minutes a bit more to the Skerki Bank experience or expedition, since the three of you had the opportunity to be there, and also because it's an initiative within the UNESCO. We were also very happy to participate in this 14-day joint expedition of 8 Mediterranean countries to explore shipwrecks located between the coast of Italy and Tunisia. And for the first time, getting this multilateral underwater archaeological mission was very important, and especially under the framework of UNESCO. In the Skerki Bank. It was also very interesting because of the multilateral mission between these 8 countries that I think I haven't mentioned that, so let me just make sure. It was Algeria, Croatia, Egypt, France, Italy, Morocco, Spain, and Tunisia. And it was, this expedition was in Italy, in the Channel of Sicily, and also on the waters of Tunisia. So this initiative was also very interesting because of this dimension of profiles and people, and also for the place that finally more than 20 scientists, researchers, and all representatives of the 8 countries were involved in this project. So I would like to ask to the three of you, what were your how was your experience, what you remember more, and what would you highlight of this? Shall we start again with Rocío?
Hello again. For me, the experience of this mission, in this transnational mission under the umbrella of UNESCO, was wonderful in 2 levels. In the professional one, was a magnificent experience, work with these research from the DRAS, the Department of Nautical and Underwater Archaeology of France. And with these two ROV that were in deep archaeology, and to share the experience with my colleagues from different countries. And I would like to highlight the personal level. It was a wonderful experience to be there. I don't remember, we spent like 10 days together in the middle of the Mediterranean, and was in the personal level was wonderful again. And also I remember in the Sicilian Channel was a good opportunity to came back to the shipwreck that were documented in the 19th. We didn't know if we were able to find again, and we did. Our French scholars that they are the technician that they use, the people who usually work with the ROV, they are very good professional, and we learn a lot with them. And was so interesting make again the documentation, revise all reports, and to link with the new documentation. And in Skerki Bank, in the Tunisian continental platform, the work was different. In this area, we didn't had archaeological work before. Even we didn't know the underwater topography. And the first work was making with multi-beam all the topography, and we found different targets, and we make the comparison with the ROV, with this robot, and we discover a new shipwreck, at least one or two Romans, I don't remember well now, and 2 or 3 from the modern time, and was a wonderful experience.
Very good. So your turn, Mladen. What was your feeling, and also what kind of documentation that your team also could make use of it? I mean, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts about it?
Yes. My thoughts are really similar to Rocío's thoughts, because we all had some nice experience in these two levels. One of them was certainly scientific, because working with the French DRAS organization, with Alfred Merlin ship, is really unique experience, because these are equipment that we don't have. It's not the equipment that you use in every day, and especially it's not easy to research in such deep waters. In Sicilian Channel, it was depths more than 600 or 700 meters, which is really complicated to work on with the ROV. But on the other side, and in Tunisian side, it was quite shallow waters that I remember we mapped with multi-beam for the first time. So on the maps that we had, that the captain had, let's say, this area was not mapped properly, and we still did not know about all the risks, all the underwater obstacles that we have. And the first of the task was to use the multi-beam to find what is the structure, let's say, of the seabed. In some moments, I have to say that we were a little bit scared, because we came quite close to the rocks, and it was, you never know, it was possibility that some new wreck comes there, but we have been happy that the captain and the crew was really professional, and we managed to do the scanning of this part, and this is something that will also be left for the other people who are going to sail in this area. On the other side, personal experience that we had, I think most of us had in the Alfred Merlin, was really nice, because lots of different scientists from different parts of the world with different background and experience met in this one small place, in one small boat, and we stayed there 1 week or 2 weeks, depending who was capable and possible to stay in this period. And as much as I know, all the experience that we had looking for the wrecks and staying in the room with ROV, for all of us made a really nice experience, and it bonded us in a way that we still, I can say that we still stayed friends, and we are still cooperating in different ways. After this, we cooperated with colleagues in different fieldworks, in exhibitions, and now in conference. So this is some nice experience that still stays with us on the other side. One thing that I had to say also, that it was really interesting experience to spend this time on a ship without mobile phone, which is also for now in this modern time, it's quite strange, but in a way that also helped us to bond between ourselves, to make more to be more productive in scientific way, because we only had a satellite connection for the sending some of the emails, but one person had, let's say, half an hour or one or two emails per day that he could send, and we were out of reach from everybody. So it was also something that bonded us together. So I have to say it was really nice experience, and once in a lifetime, I would say.
Very good. So lots of lessons, at all levels, right? So Angel, your turn. I mean, you were the one of those who had the mission to make the pictures and to photograph the different moments of this mission. So explain us your impressions and your experience on that.
To get the Mladen final statement about the circumstances of what means to be at the center of the Mediterranean. In my experience, it was a true privilege to feel the genuine sense of discovery. If you think carefully, the sense of discovery, it's been one of the engines of mankind through all of our history. And for once, we were able to feel that genuine feeling of being totally isolated. It doesn't matter the technology, the final technology of the vessel and the robotics and things. We were at the middle of the Mediterranean, and we were experiencing the same circumstances that those sailors 3 millennia ago, were experiencing to develop commerce and to develop the mixing of civilization. So we were part of history. And that feeling was absolutely breathtaking at a personal level, as a photographer, as an explorer, as an amateur scientist as well. And the second thing I would like to highlight, I remember very well about the expedition, was to learn about the complexity of making progress in any aspect of life. We live in times, and we think of immediacy. We think that we need to think very fast, and we want things fast, and we want things now. And good things in life takes a lot of time and takes a lot of effort. And it's not only about the right equipment, it's also about the human relationship. The final outcome of the mission's Paqui does not depend on technology, does not depend on weather. It depends essentially on how 8 different countries can agree on the most relevant things on board a small vessel in the middle of the Mediterranean. I remember that very well, because I remember very well at the robot room, that feeling of emotion, where all scientists from many different countries, many different cultures, then all we were watching at the monitors while the robot was screening the seabed, And then when something happened, when we hit a small piece of shipwreck, the feeling of emotion, of shared emotion of all those people, that was really touching. And it was really touching as well that later at the discussion room at the where politics has a weight on the discussion, things can go wrong as well. So in summary, it's about, I learned about the complexity of things, how complicated making progress is, and that was an irreplaceable experience in my experience in my life.
Yeah, thank you for putting in words some kind of feelings and experiences that sometimes are not easy to explain. I mean, we could easily imagine, no? All of you in the boat looking what you were discovering at the same moment. You had also had a role. I mean, you're very modest, but you also had a very important role in taking those pictures that then have been exhibited also at the UNESCO headquarters, and that are also very relevant for the memory and to take stage of the situation that is now being examined and studied among the scientists on that. So thanks also for that, Ángel. I would like now, we are going to pass to the final part of this very interesting session. Some last words also to let you talk about the topics that you may consider that you haven't mentioned yet. But also, I would like to ask you, to the three of you, what are for you the most pressing needs that you have in that you need, the most pressing needs you think underwater heritage preservation has in this moment. I think this is one of the most important things that we would like to raise also in the framework of MONDIACULT, because we would like to then send the conclusions of this meeting. So some of the main needs that you think that we still have under the underwater archaeology needs. We can start again with Rocío, Mladen, and then Ángel, if you agree. Go ahead, Rocío. We are all together now in the screen, okay?
Okay. Okay. First of all, before answering your question, I would like to say something else about Skerki mission. I share the opinion of Mladen and Ángel. And when Mladen said that we were without mobile phones, for us, was very important to be in contact with the sea, with the all that mean, and we were very proud to see the sunrise, the sunset, the moon, the star. We were a lot of hours. We were very happy, but these 10, 15 minutes speaking with our colleagues and under the star were wonderful. And also, Ángel said there was a small ship. This is relative because if you think about not only about our ancestors, the Phoenician, the Greek, the Roman people that crossed the Mediterranean in another kind of ship, but this period connected me with the people that nowadays try to cross the Mediterranean and in very bad boat, and they lost their life. And this is very important as well in the personal aspect. And now, sorry, answer to your last question. In relation with the preservation of underwater cultural heritage, in my opinion, maybe nowadays the most important challenge could be the climate change that affect to the preservation of this underwater cultural heritage, and the action of these hunter companies that they think that this heritage they can sell, and this is against the UNESCO Convention. UNESCO Convention highlight that the underwater cultural heritage is from all of us, from the humanity. And for me, it's very important to affront the survey and excavation in the underwater natural and cultural heritage. It's very important to work together with different colleges, not only archaeologists, historians, photographers. It's very important to, in the team, have this kind of profile, the photographer, the people who is specialists in the communication. Also the crew, the oceanographic college, and we work with interdisciplinary work in the field and also when we are in the museum, in the conservation area. And if we pass to the dissemination, it's very important the work that Mladen and Zadar Center is making to present the underwater cultural heritage in situ. In Spain, there are a few experiences in this area. And also in the museum, we had to open our mind and work for all audience. Not only, we don't work in the museum, we don't make the permanent exhibition or the temporal exhibition for the scientific people. We make our exhibition for all audience. We had to work in different levels of communication for people who had interest and maybe they know something about this matter. For people that they don't had any experience, any interest, but they arrive to the museum. For young people, children, adults, don't forget people with different capacities. In my opinion, in our opinion, it's very important to work in the field of the accessibility, physical, visual, audio accessibility, and mental accessibility. Maybe these are different challenges that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mladen.
Okay. Maybe I would like to stress out the thing that in my opinion, it's also important, and we are still talking about this, but the endangerment of the underwater cultural heritage is still really threatening because of the different reasons. Rocío already mentioned climate change, of course, we can partly affect this, but the other things that still affect is the cultural heritage are different construction works that have been done, fishermen, especially trawling, which completely destroys not only cultural heritage but also seabed, and of course looting that still even in Croatia we find out that even during last years there are many sites that are still looted. And this is not just taking some small artifacts that sometimes tourists or people take. This is some kind of organized crime that is still happening in Croatia. I think it's really similar also in other parts of the world. Yeah. Maybe because the people still don't completely understand that cultural heritage is something that should be protected. In some of the sites we see, for example, 2 years ago, we have been on a site that is protected by the Ministry of Culture and preserved. And it is even protected with the cage, one of the models that we have in Croatia, from more than 120 amphoras that were inside of this completely preserved Roman shipwreck. Somebody stole 40 of them. That means that they broke inside, they took 40 of the amphoras, which is quite a huge amount of amphoras. Of course, we informed the police and we did everything that we could when we found out. Until now, nobody was found, and there's no clue who did the things like this. This is something what is happening on the sites that we know, but on the sites that we still don't know and we still did not detect, who knows what is happening. So this is one of the huge issues that I think that it's still happening. Some of the ideas that what should be done for the future, I think maybe two things that are important. We need to find out the sites that are underwater, old ones and new ones, and I think it's really important to make some kind of documentation of all of them. Many of them are decomposing, even the sites from the First and Second World War, which are almost protected, and modern shipwrecks or shipwrecks from the, let's say, 18th, 19th century. Still, some of them are relatively in good state of preservation, but soon, according to our knowledge, they are decomposing, especially metal finds. With new technologies that we have with cameras, ROVs, and the possibilities of making 3D models, I think it's quite important to make this documentation now, not only to maintain this documentation for future generations and for our knowledge, but also in this way we can monitor the sites and to see what's happening with them because of all of the endangerment. I think we can work all together in this kind of protection and documentation, especially in different kind of models that can be done for protection of underwater cultural heritage. I think this is something that is common in between most of our countries in Mediterranean, certainly because the climate and the area is completely really same. But many of the models can be adapted also to the other parts of the world. So I think that we as scientists should work together and think and share the things that we are working with others in order to maintain the cultural heritage. I can say that during last years we tried some of the ideas for in situ protection, especially for the metal ships and metal airplanes. We will present this some of the scientific conferences, but we also present this to the public. We made some videos about this. The idea is to protect metal wrecks with some kind of cathodic protection, something that is used in modern ships, like ships, let's say, for protection of metal parts of the ships. Same thing is done scientifically, of course, for the metal wrecks underwater. And this is still in let's say, relatively new method, but something that we are doing, and we like to share this also to others, maybe to try to use this in their own countries. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mladen, for this very comprehensive short list of needs and challenges for the future. Your turn, Ángel.
Well, of course, I cannot speak as an archaeologist. I can just speak as a member of the civil society and the person who has experience on the field of communications. And I think, in my opinion, one of the most underrated challenges that we have in front of us for the conservation of the cultural heritage and any kind of heritage, natural, cultural, whatever, is creating awareness. Creating awareness is what is the essential part of any political step, because everything is made on the basis of policy making, and policy makers are fed on the basis of society. So if you invest on education, on trying to forward the message of about why those amphora are relevant to me that I live in my house, so what the hell matters an amphora underwater? I think that we need to look for new audiences. It's not only about investing huge amount of money in beautiful museums and exhibitions. We need to reach those people that will never visit their museum, because those are the majority of society. Unfortunately, it's only a very small part of society who is interested in culture. So I think that we need to improve our efforts on trying to take the message to those people and not waiting for those people to come to our museum to get the message. I think that's one of the most relevant challenges that we have, not only in archaeology, but also in the whole progress of our societies.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ángel. So one of the key issues seems to be awareness, awareness, and awareness. The Underwater Heritage Convention of the UNESCO was also meant for that. It's true that it's probably one of the conventions less known in the UNESCO universe because of the specificities of this reality. The Mediterranean in that case is particularly rich on that, so we should be proud of it. But it's also a big challenge for us, as I've seen in the Skirky Bank experience and then expedition. One of the main issues that we will do is try to raise the attention and to keep the underwater heritage, to keep it on the agenda of UNESCO and also on Casa Mediterráneo activities. We've done a lot of conferences and we keep on doing them related to the underships that we found near Alicante, such as the Sirio or the Pecio Bou Ferrer that it's in Villajoyosa. So many other experiences that we have very close to our coast, and we try to keep to raise awareness of this. Also with photography exhibitions and with many other activities. So we will do our best in that sense. And our contribution to MONDIACULT is this very short session, but very concentrated and very rich in thoughts and contributions. So we engage ourselves to send and to convey to MONDIACULT UNESCO the conclusions and the main topic that have been raised during this conversation, so that it can also be registered and highlighted in the different activities that MONDIACULT is doing those next week in Barcelona. So thanks a lot again for the effort, because an online session is not always that easy. It's easier always in person. So we hope that very soon we will be able to join all of you here in Alicante. And have a very good day and see you very soon, especially next week in MONDIACULT in Barcelona. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.